Welcome, friends, to the United Lodge of Theosophists of Washington, D.C. Today's talk will be on roots of liberty in the United States. We will be marking the week of the Independence Day by talking about the origins of the liberty in our country. And after the talk, we will have a continued review of the Patanjali's yoga aphorisms. The declaration of ULT is independent devotion to the cause of theosophy, without professing attachment to any theosophical organization. It is loyal to the great founders of the theosophical movement, but does not concern itself with dissension of differences of individual. The work it has on hand and the end it keeps in view are too absorbing and lofty to live in the time of inclination to take part in the side issues. That work and that end is the dissemination of the fundamental principles of the philosophy of theosophy and the exemplification in practice of those principles, through a true realization of the self, a profounder conviction of universal brotherhood. It holds that the unassailable basis for union among theosophists, wherever and however situated, is similarity of aim, purpose, and teaching, and therefore has neither constitution, bylaws, nor officers, the sole bond between its associates being that basis, and it aims to disseminate this idea among theosophists in the furtherance of unity. It regards as theosophists all who are engaged in the true service of humanity without distinction of race, creed, sex, condition, or organization, and it welcomes to its association all those who are in accord with its declared purposes and who desire to fit themselves by study and otherwise to be the better able to help and teach others. The true theosophist belongs to no cult or sect, yet belongs to each and one. The theosophy has three fundamental propositions. One proposition is the presence of one omnipresent, eternal beingness, and unity of all of the entirety of the cosmos. The second is the law of cycles, of laws that govern as above, so below, of cyclical movement of the universe. And the third fundamental proposition is the evolution and our movement towards higher states of being. I would like to continue with a devotional reading from the Voice of the Silence. Look on, what seest thou before thine eye, or aspirant to godlike wisdom? The cloak of darkness is upon the deep of matter, within its folds I struggle. Beneath my gaze it deepens, Lord, it is dispelled beneath the waving of thy hand. A shadow moves, creeping like the stretching serpent coils. It grows, swells, and out and disappears in darkness. It is the shadow of thyself outside the past, cast on the darkness of thy sins. Yea, Lord, I see the past, its foot in, mired, its summits lost in glorious light nirvanic, and now I see the ever-narrowing portals on the hard and thorny waves of jnana. So seest well, Lanu, these portals lead the aspirant across the waters on the other shore. Each portal has a golden key that opens its gate, and these keys are: first, Dana, the key of charity and love immortal. Second, Shila, the key of harmony in word and act, the key that counterbalances the cause and the effect, and leaves no further room for karmic action. 3. Shanti, patience sweet that naught can rotten. 4. Viraga, indifference to pleasure and to pain, illusion conquered, truth alone perceived. 5. Virya, the dauntless energy that fights it. 6. Dhyana, whose golden gate, once open, leads to Narjo towards the realm of Sat, eternal, and its ceaseless contemplation. 7. Prajna, the key to which makes of a man a god, creating him Bodhisattva, son of the Dhyanis. Such to the portals are the golden keys. Before thou canst approach the last, O weaver of thy freedom, thou hast to master these parameters of perfection, the virtues, transcendental 6, and 10 in number, along the very path. And now we'll continue with the talk on the origins of the liberty, the roots of liberty.
First, hello, thank you for the introduction. It is fitting, particularly since Alice is the nearest U.S. military nation's capital, that we focus on the roots of liberty near our Independence Day, which was July 4th, which was this past Thursday. Number one, Mr. Judge wrote about the death in America in 1776, stating, the reflecting mind is filled with astonishment upon reviewing the history of the United States, when it perceives that dogmatic theology has no foundation in any part of the Declaration of Independence or the Constitution. We're astonished because those documents were formulated and that government established at a time when dogmatism of one kind or another has supremely sway. Although the Puritans and others had come to America for religious freedom, they were still very dogmatic and tenacious of their own particular theories and creed. So then, if we found in this fundamental law much about religion and religious establishments, we would not be surprised. But in vain we look for it, and in vain they do the supporters of the Iron Church attempt to drain the needy cornerstones. And today America rejoices at it, and has thereby found it possible to grow with the marvelous growth that has been the wonder of Europe. The nullification of these efforts was due to the ADEPTS, who now look over and give the countenance of their great name to the Theosophical Society. They oversaw the drafting of the Declaration and the drawing of the Constitution, and that is why no foothold is to be found for these latent Christians who desire to inject God into the Constitution. In the Declaration, from which freedom sprang, nature and nature's God are referred to. In the second and third paragraphs, the natural rights of rights of man are specified, such as life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. In appealing to the British brethren, the Declaration says the appeal is made to their native justice and magnanimity. All reference to religion and Christianity or God's commands are left out. And in conclusion, sentence, the signers mutually pledged each other to its support, ignoring all appeals to God. In the Constitution of 1787, the preamble declares that the instrument was made for union, for justice, for tranquility and defense, the general good and liberty. Article 6 says no religious test as a qualification for office shall ever be required, and the First Amendment prohibits the establishment of religion or restraint of its free exercise. The great theosophical adepts looked around the world for a mind through which they could produce in America the reaction which was then needed. They found in England, home Spain, of the two. In 1774, they influenced him through the help of that worthy brother Benjamin Franklin to come to America, to come here, and he came here and was the main instigator of the separation of the colonies from the British Crown. At the suggestion of Washington, Franklin, Jefferson, and other Freemasons, whose minds, through the teachings of the symbolic degree of Masonry, were fitted to reason correctly and to reject the authority for contemplation, he wrote, number 3, Common Sense, which was a torch to the fire whose blaze burned away the bonds between England and America. Common Sense was first published anonymously on January 10, 1776. It was very popular, but Paine refused to accept a penny for the slaves. It embraced secularism and belief in human perfectibility. For common sense, he was often publicly thanked. George Washington wrote to Paine, I shall be exceedingly happy to see you. Your presence may remind Congress of your past services to this country, and if it is not in my power to impress them, command my best exertions with freedom, as they will be rendered cheerfully by one who entertains a lively sense of the importance of your works. And a letter to Madison, Washington says, Can nothing be done in our assembly for poor Paine? Most the merits and services of common sense continue to glide down the stream of time unrewarded by this country. His writings certainly have had a powerful effect upon the public mind. Ought they not then to meet an adequate return? Close quote. And number 4, The Age of Reason, Paine said, I saw, at least I thought I saw, a vast scene opening itself to the world in the affairs of America. And it appeared to me that unless the Americans changed the plan they were pursuing and declared themselves independent, they would not only involve themselves in a multiplicity of difficulties, but shut out the prospect that was then offering itself to mankind through their means. Further on he says, there are 2 distinct classes of thoughts, those produced by reflection and those that bolt into the mind of their own accord. I have always made it a rule to treat these voluntary visitors with civility, and it is from them I have acquired all the knowledge I have. These voluntary visitors were injected into the brain by the ADEPTS. Seeing that a new order of ages was about to commence, and that there was a new chance for freedom and the brotherhood of man, they laid before the eye of Thomas Paine, to the 6th Thomas Paine, who they knew could be trusted to stand almost alone with a lamp of truth in his hand, amidst others whose in times that tried men's souls quake with fear. And as if to give point to these words, and to his declaration that he saw that this vast scene opening itself, this new order of ages, the design to understand the design of the first slide of the U.S. Great Seal which you see here, so it's the back of a dollar bill all blown up. I don't know if you can see it online, but you can go back and look at it when it's posted to the UOT website. Number 7, the reverse side of the Great Seal of the United is a period bed whose capstone is removed with a blazing eye and a triangle over its dazzling side, height above it, the words "Heavens, the heavens approve," while underneath appears the startling sentence, "A new order of ages." More evidence that the founding of the American Republic was sponsored by the ADEPTS is seen in the number 8 Great Seal of the United States. You can see both of those in the back of your dollar bill if you want to look at it in your possession if you got one. Ben Franklin, Thomas Jefferson, and other Freemasons helped design both of them. Across the breast of the eagle on the Great Seal is a shield with 13 alternating red and white stripes, representing the 13 original states. Across the top of the shield is a blue field that unites all the stripes into one. White signifies purity and innocence. Red hardness and valor. Blue signifies vigilance and perseverance and justice. In his beak, the eagle holds a flowing ribbon bearing the first motto of the United States, "A pluribus unum," or "out of many, one." It is in its right talon, the eagle clutches an olive branch with 13 leaves and 13 olives, symbolizing the peace. In his left talon, he holds 13 arrows signifying war. Those both together symbolize that the United States has a strong desire for peace, but will always be ready for war. The design of the seal symbolizes the building and firm foundation of a new order of ages. It puts in new form the idea, which by means of a voluntary visitor was presented to the mind of Thomas Paine, of a vast theme opening itself, the beginning of in America of a new order of ages. Mr. Judge noted that the Theosophical ADEPTS hovered over Washington, Jefferson, and all the other Freemasons who dared to found a free government in the West, which could be pure from the draws of dogmatism. They left cleared their minds, inspired their pens, and left upon the great seal of this mighty nation the memorial of their presence. That Paine had in his mind's eye a new order of the ages, we cannot doubt upon reading in his number 9, Rights of Man, part 2, chapter 2, it says, quote, "No beginning could be made in Asia, Africa, or Europe to reform the political condition of man. She, reading America, made a stand not for herself alone, but for the world, and looked beyond the advantage she could receive." In chapter 4, we see the case and circumstances of America present themselves as the beginning of a world. There is a morning of reason rising upon man on the subject of government that has not appeared since. The design of the seal was not an accident, but was actually intended to symbolize the building and firm founding of a new order of ages. It was putting into form the idea which by means of a voluntary visitor was presented to the mind of Thomas Paine, a vast theme of opening itself, the beginning of America, of a new order of ages. Washington, D.C. was designed by Freemason Pierre Charles LaFont. D.C. rises above all the cities as in the U.S. in its unique and complex designs. Disregarding a strict grid plan, the architects of D.C. had a grand vision developed in an elaborate pattern of diagonal avenues and traffic circles. They often incorporated pins as the pins elements. Accountable to the pentagram. The pentagram symbology in two American symbols, as shown even in placement of the major landmarks brought out on the map on the board. I just pointing to it. In Freemasonry, man, as a smaller aspect of the universe, is associated with the 5-point pentagon. Just jump there. Also illustrated in the theosophical teachings of as above, so below. The geometric properties and structure of the isthmus knot were appreciated and symbolically incorporated into the 72-degree angle of the compass of the Masonic emblem of virtue and duty. The pentagram dates all the way back to 3500 BC. The Hebrews used the pentagram as a symbol of truth. The Pythagoreans of ancient Greece viewed it as a sign of perfection. So our founding fathers tried to institute a society that separated church and state in the meticulous attempts to create a secular government. Now, as for Tom Paine, he was born to Joseph Paine, an humble staymaker living in Thetford, England. A great soul had come into incarnation, one who would help call the American nation into being and draft the Bill of Rights for the yet unborn French Republic, one who would suffer ignominy and imprisonment, be denounced for more than a century, and finally rise triumphant as one of the emancipators of the human race. Such was the destiny of Thomas Paine. And today, 3 great nations claim him as a distinguished citizen and refer with pride to his achievements. From his early childhood, Paine rebelled against inhumanity demands. He arrived in America on November 30th, 1774. He became the editor of the Pennsylvania Journal. His first publication, March 8, 1775, addressed African slavery in America. He stated, quote, that many civilized, though Christianized people should approve of be concerned in this savage practice is contrary to every principle of justice and humanity. Just a few weeks later, The first anticipated slavery society in America was formed. Paine was a founding member, and Washington's army was more integrated than any American force up until the Vietnam War. Paine then protested. Paine also protested against the cruelty of animals and published the first plea for human rights of women, for published were rights of women ever published in America. The American colonies were still acting separately, with no thought of succession from Great Britain. George Washington was still faithful to the crown. The earnest anticipation of the Declaration of Independence was called a serious thought. Printed October 18, 1775. Paine prophesied the ultimate success of the colonies. 6 months later, the Declaration of Independence was drafted and signed. Many were convinced that Paine itself wrote the Declaration, but several of the drafts were in Thomas Jefferson's handwriting. William Corbett, a well-known person at the time, said, "Whoever wrote the Declaration, Thomas Paine was its author." Paine was one of the history's great theosophists. He guided the process of our independence from England to the establishment of the United States. Believing that those who expect to reach the blessings of freedom must undergo the fatigues of supporting it, number 11, Paine had once volunteered for service in the Patriot Army as a private. He was made aide-de-camp to General Greene and took part in various battles. Number 12. Paine wrote the first of 13 pamphlets on the American crisis in December 1776. The pamphlet began with the famous words, "These are times that try men's souls." Washington had it read to all his soldiers on Christmas Eve with the troops of Valley Forge. From then on, the war was won. The sword was followed out the furrows traced by Paine as the war went on. At each point where it all seemed to engulf, another of the crisis pamphlets would appear. At each impotent moment, Paine filled once more the cup of courage. Thus disgraced Paine gave grace to all and spelled the final triumph out of the broken letters of defeat. Number 13. In 1781, Paine was sent to France for a loan. The King of France sent him back with silver and a convoy of ships laden with supplies. The silent helped enable our young nation to continue to victory. Number 14. Paine organized the Bank of North America to raise money to feed and clothe the army. So quotes about Paine, number 16. John Adams said, "History is to ascribe to the American Revolution to Thomas Paine. History is to ascribe the revolution to Thomas Paine. Without the pen of Paine, the sword of Washington would have been wielded in vain." I know not whether any man in the world has had more influence on its inhabitants on our affairs for the last 30 years than Tom Paine. Napoleon Bonaparte wrote, "A statue of gold ought to be erected to you in every city in the universe. I assure you that I always sleep with rights of man under my pillow. I desire you to honor me with your correspondence and advice." Abraham Lincoln. I never tire of reading Tom Paine. Thomas Edison. A greatest political thinker we have not advanced and perhaps never shall advance beyond the Declaration and Constitution. So Paine has no successes who extended his principles. Number 16. June 8, 1809, at age 72, his starved and aging frame collapsed, and Thomas Paine was dead. His bones were later exhumed to be sent to the place of his birth, but disappeared. At present, Haddad's ardent world patriotism prevailed over the national patriotism of Washington. It was written that we would have been spared the War of 1812 and the Great War of 1914, and it was between the two wars of World War and World War II, which he might have added to the Second World War as well. Thomas Paine's profession of faith. 17. The world is my country, to do good is my religion. His faith was centered on the belief of a first cause eternally existing and of the universe covers on law. Paine showed that the age of ignorance commenced with the Christian system. The expression of such thoughts caused Paine to be called an infidel. Christian writers have since claimed that Paine died a drunkard and that on his deathbed he confessed his error in attaching religious dogma. Such lies have long since been disproved, but are still pernicious among us. The absence of the Christian God from the Declaration and the Constitution is due to the influence of Thomas Paine. Religious freedom throughout this broad land, where liberty of conscience still prevails, is due to Thomas Paine. Paine was also an inventor. He invented the Iron Bridge, which is now the Steel Bridge, the principal propulsion of the automobile, the smokeless candle embodying the principle now known as the central fire burner, and the idea of applying steam to navigation. Number 19. In an American experiment, Mr. Judge disclosed that the TS was started with the objective of forming a nucleus of a universal brotherhood, a repetition of the purely. Okay, Mr. Judge said, disclosed in an American experiment, that the TS was started with the object of forming a nucleus of universal brotherhood, a repetition on the pure and moral side of the Declaration. He says theosophical American experiment that started in the 19th century as a product of the soil of America, and is still ongoing. Number 20. HBP, a proud citizen of the United States, noted that our karma as a nation had brought theosophy home to us. Just before her death, she gave us a method of which the country might be saved. The theosophists work for theosophy, Theosophy first and Theosophy last. For this practical realization alone can save the Western world from that selfish and unbrotherly feeling that now divides race from race, one nation from the other, and from that hatred of class and social consideration that are the curse and disgrace of so-called Christian people. Theosophy alone can save it from sinking entirely from that mere luxurious materialism which it will decay and putrefize as citizens have done before. Civilizations have done before. In your hands, brothers, is placed and trust the welfare of the coming century. And great is that trust. So great also is the responsibility. And that trust and responsibility continues to be in our hands, whether or not we have ever heard the word theosophy. Hope everyone had a happy July 4th. We're now open the meeting for comments and questions. Well, let's see.
Yes, enjoy
Let's see if I have got some people that put that. So, as with many of these, we're addressing all sorts of dilemmas these days, but that's what we pay for freedom. The democracy or the republic, whatever you want to call it, is not a clean process. There's a lot of bumps along the way, and we're continuing to have the bumps, and I guess we will continue until we get it right. And we'll get it right. I believe we will. Well, we've got plenty of time, 20 more minutes. There was a lot of I just picked a few examples of things that the symbols that the adepts left behind. There's quite a bit more if when one tours the Capitol and so forth. You'll see one is the nation's
I have a question.
Second Amendment liberty. Go ahead, Kathy.
Yeah, if the influence of the adepts was present in the founding of the nation, is that influence still available to those who align themselves with those original ideas and principles, even if in actuality our country may or may not have drifted from that? Is that influence still available?
I think this definitely is. I think that that's just the natural process. Unfortunately, it will wander back and forth from the straightforward path. And we've seen a number of instances during growth of the nation where it has fallen off its path, but it seems to get back. So get back on it, and whether it's on the path or not now, I don't know. But I think that the founding fathers have laid the principles out, and as long as we pay attention to them, will prevail, theosophically and as a nation.
It sounded like at the end of your talk, you were mentioning that HPV kind of gave the course correction that's needed in order to continue along the path that was outlined.
Yes.
That as a nation founded on theosophical principles, this is like an ideal place for that influence to continue if possible.
Yeah, it says that virtually no one else in the world was able to do what the new republic was starting to do. Started a new nation and so forth, and HPV did. I mean, the way it was laid out in the literature was that we followed the declaration and so forth was sort of a backdrop to the declaration that we have in theosophy. And she certainly laid it out. She said, theosophy is white for theosophy. That means that whether we call ourselves theosophists or not, we have to all have a hand in putting forth these ideas on a day-to-day basis, and practical realization alone can save the Western world from their selfish and unbrotherly feelings that now divides the race from race, one nation from the other, and from that hatred of class and social considerations that are the curse and disgrace of that are our curse and disgrace now. Theosophy alone can save us from sinking entirely into that mere luxurious materialism. We can't keep hearing in theosophy the word materialism, which there's nothing wrong with material, as long as you use it right, but we too often don't use it right way. So we need to try to stay on the path, and everybody has to do it. I mean, as a nation and as a world. And she left it for us to continue what she started.
And I may have missed if you said it. I know George Washington and Thomas Jefferson were Masons. Did you say that Thomas Paine was as well?
I don't know whether he was or not. He certainly acted like he was. I don't know whether I didn't see his name associated with Freemasonry, except that the person who's getting to the November is well, I don't know, but the person who got him to come to the United States was a Mason, and all the people were Freemasons. Thomas Jefferson is the one thinking of it. No, Thomas Jefferson was it. It wasn't him. I'll keep thinking his name. But yeah.
Again, in a prior century, the Masons had a similar influence from the adepts. They may or may not have strayed from that as well. That seems to happen naturally, but it's almost like the influence was present in multiple avenues, so to speak, for the founding fathers. So that's interesting, and that they were exemplars drawn to it, practiced it, and were, you know, saw the vision so clearly.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely, the movement was there, was directed by people that we don't see. We don't see the adults. We see the bits of adultship come out in various people, but they stay kind of quiet, and they work through other people. And so then Franklin was the one I was trying to think about. He got pain over here, but he had the help of his colleagues who were Freemasons. So we have a great heritage to try to keep going. We don't have no choice. We have no choice. We got to keep it going.
Yeah.
We've heard the, you know, adepts can't, you know, can't change things that, you know, affect our karma. They can't interfere. But it does seem like in this particular instance, they played, you know, a large role visibly in influencing the direction of society, the world, because America became a leader in different areas, you know, technology and things like that. Are the adepts always doing that? Maybe we just can't see it, but there's no reason to think that their guidance has ended, right? Or has it?
I mean, they could be with us. I believe they're all with us at all times. We don't know it, but they won't do it for us. We have to do it ourselves. They can help in terms of making it possible for us to do it. We can't. They can't really do it.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no doubt that you know, the way this is laid out, they had a hand in all this establishment of the United States, and they have a hand in other things too. They had a hand in the establishment of the theosophical movement, and on day-to-day basis, they have an influence on each one of us, although we don't know it. And our objective is to, in theosophy, our objective is to become like they are. Well, got a few more minutes if you want. Anyone wants to comment? So, you know, we see the TV and things like that, and other things going on, it makes us wonder if we're really headed in the right direction. But I think that it kind of pushes us in the right direction what goes on in the world. And we seem to have a hand in what's happening. So this most people who are born here, who were not born here, but would actually is immigrants. The immigrants would probably be most, as a group, most appreciative because they see what happens in other places. But most people are, HEB was a proud American. She said it herself. And I think most people are. There's some that we get very put out from time to time, but most people are. So we are going to, I guess, close the meeting if nobody wants to add anything else. And we will now we'll start in the afternoon about what time is it? Just 5 minutes till
We can start 12:10, 15 minutes.
12:10. Continue our study. So thank you for joining us, and we'll see you in a little bit.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. It was great. It was a great talk.
See you at 12:10, right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.